logical reasoning section. Sorry, yeah, logical reasoning section, and it is my very pleasure to have her here because she is from National Law Institute, Bhopal, and she has been waiting for 1 hour now. So I am happy that she is finally getting to speak and interact with you all. Shreeji, can you unmute yourself and will you be switching on your camera?
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for the introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
please, I
so
would
I
like you to
so I'm from
proceed because there should not be any further ado to
yeah,
this. Take over.
yeah, sure. So I would explain the basic approach that you should follow for logical reasoning. So the main thing that we need to focus in the beginning of our preparation is there are some basic concepts that we need to handle, like assumption, conclusion, strengthening the argument. So these are the concepts on which our passages are based, and if we are just very fluent with these concepts, it would be very easy for us to deal with the question paper. Because what I found in the question paper was that passages were really easy, they weren't complex as the English section. So we need to just practice in the whole of our preparation so that we are really confident with the concepts. So there are some mistakes that we might commit in reading the passages. Like we should really focus on the minute details so that it's easy for us to solve the questions. Like, but there are also some mistakes that we might commit. Like we shouldn't depend on our presumptions. We should just follow what is mentioned in the passage, and we can't go beyond that. So these are the basic mistakes that we might commit. And beyond that, okay, wait. There are some strategies that we can follow for some concepts, like there are questions on strengthening the argument. What we can do is we should focus on gap between them. So on like in the argument, the options, you would find options like, would it get better if we do that, or would it get worse if we do that? So we should follow options that are positive and would strengthen our conclusion. And if we go for weakening the argument, again we should follow the conclusion, and then we should focus on arguments that would really widen the gap between the conclusion and our assumption, or that would impact or hurt our assumption, and conclusion would be weakened in the process. So So what I would like to suggest is that logical reasoning was very easier for me because passages were really easy. So what you could do is, if you will sharpen your basic concepts, that would be really easy for you to handle this section. And in this year, there were questions that were really easy. What I did, which would be wrong, I didn't read those passages because they were really from the newspapers that were really basic topics. So I really went on to the questions, and options were even very easy. Like there were, if four options, we could clearly see that three options are negative and one is positive. I followed that approach, which might be wrong, but with practice, you will learn those things. So I also have one passage which I could, with which I could explain. Is it visible?
Yes, Shrija, it is visible.
Yeah. So I would just give the summary of this passage. Like it is based on the lockdown period, and it is written that now normalcy is exactly what a lockdown is not being. So lockdown is not about being normal. Therefore, it would be worse for the businesses, especially for the hospitals, which depends on the regular life. Therefore, it's really tough for their business. And the morbidity rate of COVID-19 and the starvation would really affect not only the single person but their entire family. And the poor social security net and the health system and the large population near under the poverty line. Therefore, these are the weaknesses of our country which would affect us if we follow the lockdown. But neither it is beneficial for us if we follow the if we don't put lockdown. It would be really dangerous because this disease would spread beyond our control. But despite that, as our country had elections, we almost ignored the virus, and it was thought that if our locality goes into lockdown, it is almost defeat for us. So at that time, government and even the people mostly ignored the lockdown, and they just went on with their elections and all the local life. But that would really affect us in the long run. But here is also one thing that we need to follow. We would put lockdown for the longer period. That would affect our starvation rate and our death rate. Therefore, it was beneficial for the government to just put hold on the lockdown. And we shouldn't be blaming government for that, because in democracy, what government need to do is they have to hear what the people want. And here what the people wanted was a normal life, and they didn't care about the health system. So this is what the passage was about. So I would like to give some advices. Like, I know we are in very speed while giving our Clat exam, but we need to focus on each of the details, because that is the most important thing that would help us in solving the passages. And again, while solving questions, we need to read the questions very properly, because we have to answer only what is asked in the passages. We can't go beyond that, or we can't make predictions, or we can't answer the questions on the basis of our knowledge. Therefore, it is important to read each and every line of the passage. After we finish with the passage, we need to focus on some concepts that are usually asked, like what did you infer from the passage. So this is the question, and if we try to attempt these four options, we need to keep in mind that we don't take option that is really beyond the passage, that was not even talked about in the passage. Like, the major driving point this election is par excellent and poor handling of COVID-19. No, this wasn't talked about. It was just mentioned that the government is now going to do activities that are needed for election, but nowhere it was mentioned that they were poor in handling the COVID-19. Therefore, this couldn't be the option, right option. And if we go with the second option, lockdowns are the only way. What we need to focus is we can't take option that is really extreme. It is written that lockdown is the only way. No, it wasn't the only way we can slow down the spread of COVID-19. There are other restrictions that we can follow. Therefore, this couldn't be the answer. If we go with the third option, the people indirectly have chosen to brave the spread of COVID-19 over financial instability caused due to lockdowns. So, financial instability was also not talked about in the whole passage. Therefore, this also cannot be our right answer. And if we go with the fourth option, the government is the main party to blame for such chaotic times. In the last line, it was written that we cannot blame the government. So this option is really directly in contradiction with that line. So after going through four passages, we found that these three are really extreme. Therefore, these three cannot be our answer. We would mark option A because it is a bit related to the passage. Like, okay, it wasn't directly mentioned that they are poor at handling the COVID-19, but what we can see from our morbidity rate is that yes, the condition of India was really bad, and they were not good at handling COVID 19. We can infer from those lines. But the other options are extreme, therefore, we wouldn't mark them. And I would proceed to the next question. Which of the following, if true, suppose the author's conclusion? So this question would talk about what was our conclusion. We would follow the same technique, like we would eliminate the options that are really extreme. So the first option is the situation today is much better than the situation the country was in 1 year ago. It wasn't talked anywhere what was our situation 1 year ago or what it would be after some time. Therefore, this cannot be our answer because it wasn't talked about anywhere in the passage.
Shreeji, if you can excuse me for a minute. First of all, can you please zoom in a little to your screen because it is not that
Okay,
clearly visible.
sure.
After this, you can give some time to the students for reading the passage. Let's say like 2 minutes. Then we can deal with the questions. Oh, how many
Sure.
passages you have planned to deal today? One or two?
I have only one passage because it was a bit lengthy.
Yeah, okay. Then I think because it's a bit lengthy passage, you can give them 5 minutes. Also because you have only like one passage, so you can zoom it a little more if you can. And can you remove that panel on the right side?
Yeah. I'm really. Is it not visible like
It is
this?
visible. I think it is clear to everybody who is present. I can see it. Anybody else having any problem with the screen? Please mention it in the chat box or unmute yourself. And now from here, we are giving you 5 minutes to deal and read. And then we will be moving forward to the passage. Okay, Shriji, you can wait.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Also, guys, when you are done with it, you can put it in chat box, right? Sriji, I think that everyone can done. Now you can continue.
Yeah, sure. So I can repeat this question once if you have read the passage. Like this question talks about what you have inferred from the passage. I have eliminated these three options. Okay, I have eliminated these three options because they were extreme due to some words like only, financial instability, which wasn't talked about in the passage, and and the fourth option was directly in contradiction with the passage. Like the government is the main party to blame. No, we can't blame the party. Therefore, first option is what is closely related to the passage. Therefore, this is the option we can infer. And if we go to the next question, what would be the author's conclusion?
Shreeji,
Here first,
let them answer in the chat box and then you can explain.
okay, sure.
So guys, you read the question, go through the option and answer in the chat box. Then she will be explaining you.
So I guess I can start.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I can see that most of the people are answering C, but what I would okay. So second option was despite the lockdown, the general fatality rate may remain higher than the pre-lockdown period. Again, we don't know what was our condition pre-lockdown era. Therefore, this cannot be our answer. And here B is also not our answer. So we would mark C as our correct option because if the people start to be more careful, the government will automatically start supporting the movement of curtailing COVID-19. And in the last lines, it was mentioned that people are not more concerned about the health, therefore the government is also not concerned. Therefore, we can mark this as our conclusion because it is closely related to the last passage. Then we would go to the next question. You guys can attempt it. Okay, so the question was which of the following conclusion can be properly drawn? And our option one was the government is doing everything in their power to protect the people from the spread of COVID 19. This is directly in contradiction with what the intention of author was. No, the government is not doing what they can do. Therefore, this wouldn't be our answer. The elections in 5 states have made the matter worse by diverting attention at such a crucial time. What we discussed in the passage was that the government is not concerned with the health and the growing unemployment rate, and they are mainly focused on elections, and this has really diverted the attention of government at such a crucial time. So this is clearly our option because this was discussed in the passage. Okay, and both C and D are also eliminated because we found the answer. Now the next question, you guys can.
देखिए उनको सब वेटिंग लिस्ट में कल का है परसों का देखो RSC 98 और इसमें 36 सीट दिखा रहा है इसमें 36 सीट दिखा रहा है बैठ के जाने वाला में तो कंफर्म हो जाएगा ना नहीं 98 नहीं होगा हो जाएगा 98 102 है 102 बाय 98 है कम हो जाएगा दूसरा कैटेगरी नहीं होगा 24 तारीख को है 24 तारीख को है सीट बातचीत दूंगा मैं पार्टली तो कब का खत्म हो जाता है
Okay, so here we need to answer which option
वेटिंग
would
लिस्ट
seriously undermine the argument, means weaken the argument. So, option that
आजा
would
किस
be against the intention of the author would weaken the conclusion of the author. Okay, so
27 में तो दिखा रहा है
majority of the states
पार्टली में
have
एक सीट
failed
इसमें
to
दिखा रहा है मतलब
control
नहीं होगा और
spread of COVID-19.
पार्टली में एक सीट दिखा रहा है
We didn't. Okay, we'll see this option later because this might
रांची
be our
दुमका में
answer.
27 दिखा
But
रहा है
the second option is the states with ongoing elections have negligible
पार्टली
cases of
ट्राई
COVID-19.
करेंगे ट्राई क्या करेंगे हम ही
Here
काटेंगे हम ही
the
काटेंगे
states are arguing that
पार्टली में आरएसी में
we
हो
can
जाएगा
go with the elections and the
अभी आरएसी
spread
लगा ही
of
नहीं है
COVID-19 wouldn't affect our
एसआरटीसी
daily
को
life because lockdown is really affecting the business of many
24 का
class.
24 का
So
तो
this argument of government could be
पैसा
weakened
दीजिएगा
by
तुम
this option because it is in direct contradiction with the argument of government, and this can be a right option, but we will surely read the other options because it is very important in our exam that we don't miss a single option because it is often very, there are chances that two options would be very closely related and we might miss the other right option. Therefore, this third option is COVID-19 is rapidly spreading in smaller cities rather than the metros. We didn't talk about smaller cities and the metros. Therefore, this cannot be our answer. Hospitals are almost at full capacity all throughout the country. We we talked that okay, hospitals are really affected by the lockdown and all, but this wasn't our main argument that hospitals are, that the business of hospital is weakened, therefore we shouldn't put lockdown. This wasn't our main argument. What was our main argument is that the government is not concerned with the lockdown, therefore this option would weaken our argument, not this one, because the hospital argument was just a sub issue, not the main issue of the passage. So we'll go with our last question. You guys can read. for attempting these kind of questions, we really need a good knowledge of basic concepts like what is premise, what is conclusion, what is assumption. Therefore, it is advised to be very thorough with these concepts and practice some shorter questions. Like there are questions other than comprehension based logical reasoning questions. You all can practice that for these kind of questions. So our question was, the author's statement that it is simply a matter of when, not if, someone we know who gets severely sick. Okay.
पापा
So if we go with the options,
पापा
this statement is the premise of the above passage, or it is the conclusion, or it is assumption, or it is none of them. We already know that the conclusion of our passage is the government is not concerned because we as the citizens are
पापा
not concerned. And what we are assuming that at this time we really need lockdown because the spread of COVID-19 would affect our economy and even our country. Therefore, what would be the closest answer is option A, because no, it wouldn't be even option A, because this isn't the premise of the passage. This is just the basic argument that it is just the basic argument that we don't know whether it is just a matter of time that someone very close to us would fall sick. This is just an argument that is supporting the author. This
पटना
cannot be
हटिया जो
our
है वही
premise
ना पटली है
because
तो
the
उसमें दो
whole
वेटिंग लिस्ट
passage
दिखा
is
रहा है
not solely based on this statement. Therefore, B
और
would
दुमका
be
रांची
the
में
most
अवेलेबल है
correct option.
24 तारीख को
Okay.
दुमका रांची काट लेते हैं और क्या
So, like if I have explained all the passage, all the questions, there are basic advices. Like in the beginning of
और
your
मंगलवार को
preparation,
नहीं
you
तो
need to
आदित्य जा रहा है
be
बोकारो
very thorough with the basic concepts. Then in 3-4 months, you
24 तारीख का
should
काट ले
attempt more of the
अरे तो बोकारो
mocks
से हम टिकट काटेंगे ना
because
फिर
it
ना
is mocks through which you
बोकारो से काट
learn
लेंगे
कि
अपना
okay ये mistakes हो रही
बोकारो
है
से रांची का
and
काट
you need
लेंगे
to really note down कि इस passage में मेरी ये mistake हुई थी. I
उसका
didn't
सीट में
read the all of the options,
वो भी
or
उसी सीट में
I
जाएगा 24 का
went
काट लेते फिर
beyond what was written in the options. So these are the basic things that you'll learn when you'll attempt more of your mocks. And logical reasoning can be good only when you practice more of the questions, because it is trick based section. It is not learning tables, or it is even not as complex as the English section, because you'll get passages that are really very easy, and you just need to be very thorough with the basic concepts and your practice, and you'll really be able to solve this section. If you have any questions, you can put in the comment box. I'll see them. Okay, so I guess I'm done with the time.
Thank you, Shreeji, for this session of yours. I think it must have helped everyone understanding the basic concepts of